Hello, everyone, and welcome to THINKONOMICS-Study with Navrun, your digital channel for economics and definitely for ICSE and CBSE. Today, we have special guest with us, Mr. David Cecil, who is a senior subject master, sir, of St. Paul's School. He is also teaching English language and English literature both for ICSE and ISC for the last 20 years. He is also the evaluator. Sir is also the evaluator of the English language paper and English literature paper. So today, Sir will be helping our students how to score better in English language paper, where the boys and girls they are making little bit of mistake. So welcome, sir.
Thank you.
In
It's a
our
pleasure
channel.
to be here and to be on your channel, Thinkonomics, studying with novel.
Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure.
Sir, to start with the English language paper, it starts with the essay, all of us know, and the essays are of generally three to four types. Suppose argumentative, descriptive, and also the council asks our boys and girls to write a story to find out their skill in the story writing. From your experience, sir, which essay will the students try in order to score as much as possible with minimum amount of mistake?
Well, thank you for the question. Essay writing is basically two parts. The strategic part is that you choose an essay which you can generate the maximum amount of points from. This will give you, no, normally you have about five different types of essay which go through the narrative, the comparative, the descriptive, the short story, and you have, of course, that last but not least, the picture composition.
Yes, sir.
Now, in what happens is through certain amount of grilling, a student does get an idea to strike upon a topic that can generate the most amount of points. That I think is the topic to go for.
Okay,
That's
sir.
the strategy behind choosing a topic. But of course, given a student's inclination, he might go for or she might go for a narrative, a descriptive. Some who are more imaginatively inclined may go for the short story. So it is a compost of both areas, the strategy, the points of how point generation can be formed, and on the second, one's own inclination, one's own creative, say, compost, and how you can generate the best ideas for an essay. But there is no one format.
Okay, sir.
Right?
Yes, yes.
So in that sense, I think you have to marry both the practicalities of the topic
Okay.
and the creativity of the student, which I think works for all.
True, sir. Okay, thank you so much, sir. Sir, I just want to know there are so many queries regarding this word limit. The council has put 350 words. Sometimes what I found even in our school also and to some of the school in Kolkata that sir, if I cross 350 words, all right, will council deduct the marks? So any kind of instruction from the council that the students must have to write 350 or generally what should be the word you can say limit by which the boys must complete?
Well, the council prescribes a word limit between 300 to 350. The reason for doing this is to give the student an adequate amount of writing scope so that the marking can be done advantageously.
Oh,
But I don't think there's a hard and fast rule if a student does write over the word limit. But when I say over, one has to be very careful. If one goes over the 350, let's say into a 400, 425, you are now crossing, I think, the bar.
all right.
So it is always best to keep within the prescribed limit. I don't think that any character will gratuitously deduct marks if the length is far over. But yes, there might be a disadvantage for the student if the word limit is not 300. You are just putting yourself in a disadvantaged position, not having written enough to be marked enough for.
Okay.
So in that way, it's always best to go with the prescribed 350 and fulfill it as best one can.
Okay. So here, boys and girls. So what sir said that yes, the council has not instructed any of the evaluators to deduct the marks. So you can, but as sir said that actually, if you write more, there is always a chance of making some kind of mistakes, and you yourself will put. You can put yourself in the disadvantageous position. So, according to as sir suggested, it is always better to write the essay within the word limit which the council has given, isn't it, sir?
Yes, and as we say, the waterline is the 200 words. After 200, in the first 200 words, the character is very clear about the gross errors and the multiple errors which are multiplied. And there is now a formula
Okay,
prescribed by the
okay.
council, which weighs heavily in the first 200 words. So every student needs to be very clear about, in the first 200 words, all the patented formats that one understands to put it, grammatically, presentation, so on and so forth, should be vitalized in that first 200 words to make sure that you're not making errors that you can avoid.
Another important point what sir said, everyone must keep it in your notebook and write it down. That sir said the first 200 words as the most important, the most catchy things. No mistakes in the first 200 words, boys and girls, to get as many marks as possible in your essay. Either it is descriptive, narrative, or story writing, or maybe the picture composition. Please, very, very important, the first 200 words. Okay, sir. Sir, just one thing I just want to know is that, sir, how much time? Okay, council of asks them to write in this amount of time. So, what should be the time actually the boy or a girl he must spend on the essay so that he has enough time for the grammar?
Well, again, a very good question, very valid question, and also rather flexible, because one knows that people write differently. Some write faster, some write slower, some take their time to measure their words to write. Now, each student, I'm sure, understands their particular writing skill patterns by now. You have been doing it for some time. So if you're a fast writer and you can complete, well, firstly, the prescribed time given by the council is 30-35 minutes.
Yes.
But there are students who can attempt that and achieve that earlier. There are students who need more time. So, given the parity that happens between all kinds of learners and students and the sort of pace each one has, you have to then develop through practice. I'm sure each one is doing their own practice,
Yes.
your own time guide. So basically, yes, you should not cross that watershed mark of 35 minutes. That should be a warning bell. But as I said, there's no hard and fast rule.
Oh.
And as I said, time management and strategy is, I think, of great importance, of vital importance when it comes to English papers. Because as you correctly said, if you devote too much time, you may lag on other sections of the question paper and not be able to achieve the things that you want to achieve.
Sir, one more question from the essay part. As an evaluator, where do you find that most of the boys they make minor error in writing the essays, where they miss the mark? They are supposed to get the full marks, but they are missing it by 2 marks or by 1 mark.
Uh, I think one of the important factors that in one's writing one tends to not focus on is strength of grammar, the strength of syntax, punctuation. These are very small things, but in these small things they add up.
True.
Spelling errors, just general syntactical errors. So one is perhaps as a student focused on the topic to achieve the topic's goals, and then you perhaps don't pay that sort of attention, or you don't feel you can come back to it later.
Okay.
So I think yes, one does make careless mistakes along the way.
Yes, boys and girls, this is another thing which Sarah said. You have to keep it in mind. The punctuations, the spellings, and the syntax error. This has to be followed. This has to be checked again and again before you submit your paper during your board exam for 2023. Please keep it in mind. Okay, sir. Now we will come to the next question of the council. Okay, as the boys and girls will get, that is our later section.
Letter.
And as all of us know that the later, it is a formal letter and informal letter. Sir, again, I know it is a difficult question, maybe because it is a relative question. Again, some of them will pay for formal, some of them will pay for the informal later. But where the chance of getting the marks will be more?
Well, the letter, as I've always said to almost all our students, is the letter, like the email and the notice, are the council's gifts to students. I mean, once you have clearly practiced the format is a very easy step by step methodology. Now, whether the format applies both to the informal and to the formal, with a little difference, the difference being the formatting for one is not the same as the formatting for the other. But once your formatting is clear, strong, precise, there is no area or no margin to go wrong. As I said, the format, the council gives 5 marks. For content, another 5 marks. So the 10 marks are in the bag. I don't see why you should not be able to bag it.
All right, that means you are saying that council is now very much benevolent in giving the marks to the boys and girls. Okay, coming to the next portion about the email and notice, where again little bit of confusion. What I found is that box pattern. Some of the school they are asking that you have to write the box. Some of the school they are asking, okay, if you do not draw the box, then also you get the marks. So, sir, any kind of particular instruction from the council?
Well, the box or without box. Now, if you draw the box, it doesn't take much time. It gives you, firstly, it adds and enhances presentation. Without the box, well, again, you can have your presentation, but then it again, it's very relative. But what is far more important is again the format. The format is a very clear, precise, concise methodology. It has steps which are there, and each step has its own weightage. Now, all one needs to do is focus clearly on the format, practice it, know it, it's a formula, and apply it. And there you are. Again, these are gifts that the council gives you. And there is no, once it is done in the methodology prescribed, there's no way of going wrong.
All right. So, according to you, sir, they can either go for the box or they may not go for the
They
box.
may
It does
not.
not have any so much weightage to either of that. And both equals the same weightage.
The weightage is, as I say, the demarcated weightage is given already in the format. Each prescribed format as you go along for the notice and the email is got an assigned mark. Now, the box is not generally assigned any mark, it's a valuation of presentation, which you can achieve or you may not. But again, the strength of your formatting is where your practice and precision comes into it.
So, if you can elaborate to our students that how the council has allocated the marks for the different parts of the email in that way, it will be helpful, I know.
I'm going to need to pause because I'll need to. Yes, regarding the notice, basically there are 7 general points. You have a catchy heading, followed by the name of the event, followed by the date and time of the event, venue and place, the target audience, the invitees, and any instructions there, and of course, instructions, directions, and details related to the event, and of course, finally, the contact person. Now, how is it broken up? You have 5 marks, but it's broken up into a series of subdivisions.
Okay, sir.
So you have for the catchy heading, you have the 1 mark. For the name of the event, you have the 1 mark. For the details of time and place and venue, it's half and half. And then, of course, for venue, it is half and half. And then, of course, for all the details that you have to put in and further instructions, it is again 1 mark. So once you delineate all that, it's 5 total marks subdivided. So that's basically how the notice works out. Again, each corresponds to the points that is there in the format, and it is very well structured. So all the student needs to do is look at the format, follow the format, and I think the mark should also fall into place.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. And anything about our email
The
part?
email falls basically again into the same category. There is a formulae, there is a format given, and you comparatively move with that. You have your subject, you have to who you're writing to. Then of course you have your opening sentence. Now, your opening sentence is one mark. Then your details. Now, interestingly, with the email, the details in the email should correspond to the details in the notice.
Okay.
Because they are joined together. They are part of the same question. So, for the details and all the rest of it, you have another 1 mark, and then you are broken up into various other sections where you mention the time and venue and why you're requesting this email to go out. That's about half and half. And then you come to your closing sentence, which is about 1 mark, and you have your ending, which is like a formal ending, which you use your thanking you, you're yours faithfully. It approaches the sense of the formal letter in tone and in sensibility. So when you look at the break of a marks, again, 5 marks. So you have the email for 5 marks and you have the notice for 5 marks, following the council pattern.
So any word limit here? How many words the boys are expected to write?
Well, as I say, when it comes to details, the details are very specific. It is a date and time, a venue and place, and a basic instructions of what would you like these invitees to do or the participants you're inviting for a particular function. So that again is very regulated. So neither the email nor the notice is very long.
Okay, sir.
So again, looking at the mark composition of 5 marks, the timeline should be a student need not devote more than I think 10 to 12 minutes on both.
That's another important thing, boys and girls. As I said, that we should not spend more than 10 to 12 minutes for email and for notice. And as I said again and again, that email, notice, our letters, these are actually the gift from the council to all of you. So try to get the full marks from here. Now, sir, coming to the comprehension part, all right, it is said that write in your own words. Uh, Now, some of the, if I talk about those who are bit weak in the subject, now sometimes they try to copy it from the sentence only what it is given in the comprehension. For that, do you reward or punish the boy and the girl for that?
Well, I don't think the council is. I don't think the council would punish in that sense, or would make any negative marking if the student has tried to approach the answer with in his own sensibility. But then the idea of why the own words is because we don't want the passage what we call lifted. The idea is to understand the passage and to, in your own sense, comprehend what it is, what the question or what the comprehension is saying to you, and answer it according to your own sensibility. And that is why the comprehension, I think, is a very core piece in the English paper.
Okay, sir.
But yeah, I don't think the council is going to take away much. But yes, the idea is to build comprehension skills. So lifting is not encouraged.
All right. So lifting is not encouraged. So try to do as much as in your own way of expressing the answers. Now coming to one more thing, sir, what I found in the this comprehension part, that council now they are giving 2 3 meanings from these comprehensions.
Yes.
And for these 2 3 meanings, what I found in some of the renowned school, I don't want to mention that the boys and girls, they are learning thousands and thousands of words.
Well, now, luckily for almost all students, the council's new pattern is where it is MCQ, especially in the comprehension section A, which is the meanings. So, in the meanings, you have the meaning and you're giving in 4 options, which you choose one of the 4 which you feel is the most accurate and contextualized to the passage. So, I think in this way it should help.
So to some extent, the burden has been reduced to the for the students.
So instead of thousands, it's reduced to 1 or 4 options.
Oh, all right, that's very good in that way. Sir, now the ICSE board, ICSE council, basically they are known for the English, and the English is the heart. As the heart is pumping the blood throughout our body, and the council, ICSE council, they try to get give the boys and girls as much of the English grammar. So they try to test the boys and girls from the different angles. Now that part of grammar, English grammar, sir, what should be the approach for the boys and girls?
You're very right. You're very right. The structure of the English paper is based on the core value of grammar building, sense and sensibility, tense and sensibility, and all the rest of it. And that is, you're very right, the heart of the English paper. And the council more than else puts, I think, in a good way. It puts a lot of weightage. 20 marks is devoted to the grammar section, question 5. And the question 5, I think, is beautifully divided if you look at it. So in you have four basic areas of grammar the council tests you on, or prepares you on, or evaluates you on. So section 1A is tenses. So it looks at your tense building sensibility.
Yes.
So there you have core English parts of speech being tested. Then in section B, you have prepositions, again a core part of the English of of the English body of work. Then in section C, they evaluate joining sentences, which is basically your conjunctions and your skill enabling to how do you put two sentences together. And finally, in section D, it is transformation of sentences, in a sense where you're given a sentence and you're given a certain parallel instruction where you are to convert that sentence to either tense or sense without changing the meaning, of course, given the given with the instruction. But again, there, given the new council pattern, which I think has boosted student morale and teaching morale all over, it is very much like an MCQ base. Now, the change comes about. In section A, there is no change, it is exactly as it was. In section B, the prepositionals are again exactly as it is. But in section C and D, there's a change because they have adopted the MCQ pattern.
Okay.
So you have four sentences and they are giving you four options to choose from.
All right.
So the student will pick of one of those four options to have the correct answer, and this follows for section D in transformation. The sentence is given with the instruction of change, and again, four options is given for each of the 8 sentences.
So, sir, as you are saying that for tense and for the preposition, it remains as it is.
As it was before.
All right. And sir, for the third and the fourth part, that is joining of the sentence and the transformation of the sentence, now the students will have the options to choose
from.
So it becomes much more easy for the boys and girls to
Well,
score.
if the student has prepared well, the option is easy. But grammar is tricky. So even when you're choosing, you have to have a strategy. Because every option may equally seem to be right. So that's where your instinct of English, your instinct and your preparation and your comes into play. That even when choosing, you know, and have the knack of saying, okay, this is the right answer because.
Okay, sir. Uh, Sir, the last question for you, sir. If in a short, if you can just guide our boys and girls how to prepare. No, every what I saw that most of the boys and girls, okay, we are studying in the council, this one ICC board. We are studying in English medium school, so we know everything of English. But while scoring at that time, it is bit less than what expected. So, what should be the way of preparation for the boys and girls to score as much as possible?
Again, a very valid question. Most of our English medium schools have a very great advantage because, again, you are learning in the language, you are speaking in the language, you are interacting in the language. However, writing in the language has technical skills. And these are the technical skills where skill building, whether it is punctuation, preposition, how to use the language in syntax and orientation, this is comes in. This is technical, this is the technicalities of the the language. So, in technicalities, you have to pay attention to the smaller details. And the only advice anyone can ever give for grammar is practice, practice, practice.
Okay, well, okay, students. So you have to practice. All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Not at all, what a pleasure to be here.
I think all my students, those who are watching, will definitely gain from sir's advice for essay, formal letter, informal letter, email, comprehension, and grammar. Thank you very much for watching our channel Thinkonomics Study with Navrun. We will be having more guests from the different subjects having 20 to 25 years of experience. So keep watching, and if you like our channel, don't forget to press the like button. Namaskar and Jai Hind.